Van Nuys Condor Squadron. Captain Rob, we just got done with a podcast, and he said, "Do you want to go fly in a T-6?" And I said, "I guess we're going to go fly in a T-6." Rob's got about 1,000 hours in the T-6. And anyway, he's going to give us a little tour of this Condor Squadron area. So I'm going to flip the camera around, Rob.
For all the old Air Force hats out there, they might recall a place called Poncho's Happy Bottom Riding Club. And in Poncho's, now this is posthumously, so you had to go west or pass away to get on the wall. But just like Poncho's, we have a members wall. And the black frames are active members. And then the guys in the gold frames there are guys that have gone west. So when you fly west, you graduate from a black frame to a gold frame. That's Brent Potter. He's our oldest member. He was here in 1962 when they poured the concrete for the clubhouse. To his right is a two-tour Vietnam fighter pilot, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And I think all of us collectively would agree that he's the best stick in the house. I mean, the guy's an amazing aviator. And the guys that started the squadron, many of them were from World War II, so of course you got to have a bar.
Over in the corner there.
Yeah, with mugs, mugs with your call sign on them. These guys would have these big in-house squadron stuff. They'd go out and practice formation flying, of course, on Wednesdays, and sometimes the Americans would take off first, sometimes the Germans would take off first, and then you meet over Magic Mountain and we'd have this big, elaborate, totally unscripted dogfight, which was a little terrifying, but anyway. Anyway, we like to have fun, and of course, what squadron isn't complete without a bar with mugs with call signs? So a lot of the guys aren't pilots. We have 8 pilots out of maybe 40, 45 members.
Okay.
Everybody has a locker. So this is the old CAP squadron flag that they used to fly when they looked for downed airplanes in the 50s with the T-6. This is our first, this is cool. This is our very first stadium flyover in 2011 that we ended up doing. Actually, 2 days notice. We did a 8 ship, I think, actually. You see through the trophy there on the bottom, one of our very dear friends, he was the head of Cedars-Sinai. He did all of our medicals, Randy Sherman. Just an amazing, amazing guy. Passed away, obviously, gold frame. And he's one of the big reasons why we have, we're doing a blood drive now with Cedars-Sinai here at the squadron.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Twice annually we do a blood drive with Cedars. You have up here, you have Rudy Perez. Rudy Perez was the highest ranking Hispanic U.S. Air Force officer in the 50s, and maybe one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in the entire world. My personal favorite, legendary Blue Thrill Kill. Yes, that was his real name. And a handlebar mustache like that, your name's got to be blue, right? Just a legend. He owned a T-6. All these guys own T-6s, actually.
Who did he fly for?
Western.
Western
Yep.
pilot, okay.
And I was telling you about Randy Kramer. Randy Kramer is a super famous TWA guy. I don't know if anybody listening to TWA guy, but Randy, when he retired, I think for a better part of a decade, wore his uniform. Do you have the timetable book? You should show it.
Yeah, let's go grab it.
All right. So for a decade, he would dress up in his pilot outfit at LAX, and he would hand out I don't know, your younger viewers won't remember, but this is how, before phones, we used to look up where a flight was going and what flight to catch, right? What a concept.
That's right.
This is Randy Kramer, so TWA caught wind of it, and they're like, this guy's on his own dime representing the airline. Yeah. And he wore his uniform to LAX every day and handed out these timetables, so they made a
That's what you're going to do when you retire.
That is what I'm going to do, yeah. But I'm going to go from LA, then I'm going to go to San Francisco, and then I'm going to go to Portland, and then I'm going to go to Seattle. So I'm going to hit them all.
That's right.
Yeah. West Coast tour.
Legend style.
And then every other weekend I'm going to hit Anchorage, Yeah. No, yeah, for sure, for sure. And just a bunch of cast of characters. The guy with the 2 German crosses, that's Sandy Ross. Sandy Ross, in one day, shot down those 2 Focke-Wulf airplanes. He was a P-47 fighter pilot in the war. Shot down 2 Focke-Wulfs in one day. Yeah. Incredible. And then there's a cast of other characters and personalities. Clay Lacey, they flew F-86s in the Air Guard with Jack Conroy. Jack Conroy was a Condor. You might probably haven't heard of his name, but if you haven't, the Super Guppy is the airplane that was developed here at Van Nuys to haul the rocket parts, pieces, the big sections of the rocket to Florida to launch them. Well, they had no way to do it, and the tunnels were too small, and the rocket was too big. So Jack Conroy, with the help of Clay, developed what's called the Super Guppy, which is the huge round-looking airplane they stuffed the rocket pieces in.
Yeah.
And that was Jack Conroy, and they developed it here in the 50s, and then they flew, because they had the jet propulsion stuff here in the valley, and they would fly it to Florida in the Super Guppy. So.
What about this view, though?
Oh, yeah, the view is amazing.
Okay, let's show the people what the view is. So you're looking right out onto the runway there, and then maybe we can go out and walk the
let's go.
flight line. You
sure.
can kind of
You bet.
give us just a little bit of the T6 walk around for those of you who have been on a T6 like myself. Now, when this is being filmed, I hadn't flown in a small airplane, anything other than an airliner in 23 years. Until about 2 weeks ago, one of our pilots took us up in his Cessna 182.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
This is my second.
Yeah,
part 91.
You go 182 to T6. All right, I see how you roll.
So this is the flight line. So how many of the T6s do we have here?
Currently, we have 5 that the squadron maintains. I own one with another captain here, Mike Dorn, and another guy, Stu McAfee, owns his own personal airplane. So we have 7 total.
Okay. So this is the one that we're going flying in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this, we affectionately, here.
Yeah.
So they all have nicknames.
Okay.
This one is called the Baron for Baron's Revenge, which is what Chris's old race plane was called. Because Dick Sykes, when he raced, he was Baron von Heinz because he was part of the German squadron. So we called it Baron's Revenge when Chris flew it. Chris used to own this airplane before the squadron bought it. And this is the one that I raced for 3 years as race 42. And its tail number is Whiskey Whiskey, so we affectionately call it 42 or Whiskey Whiskey, or Chief's airplane, because Chris was a Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force. 9-cylinder, 1340, 600 horsepower engine, retractable landing gear. They call it the Pilot Maker. If you come over here, you'll see there's 2 seats in it. So for all you aviation heads, the instructor sat in the back, the student sat in the front. And from this, they call it the Pilot Maker because he graduated into a single seat P-51 and P-47. So it was either you figured this out, so it's difficult to land and taxi around and stuff. You either figured it out and you went on to that P-51 or P-47, or you didn't and you went and flew bombers.
I see.
Yeah, that's why they call it the Pilot Maker, because it washed out a lot.
Do you know how much time they would give you in this before they would...
I think, 20, 30 hours, and you're 19 years old.
Right.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Amazing.
I mean, there were combat pilots with less than 200 hours in theater, total time. And so the T6 had guns on it. We took them off, obviously, but there's little stores for, it could carry 500-pound bombs. So you learn how to dogfight, you learn how to drop bombs, and you learn how to shoot strafe, and you learn how to dogfight in this airplane.
Where the guns at?
They'd be here on the wing.
Okay.
Yep, and then the stores for the bombs would have been underneath the wing.
Nice.
Yep.
What do you guys use for your smoke system?
There's smoke tanks in all the airplanes now. They're in the back. V, who's a member here, another pilot, he custom built the tanks for us, and he put them in all the airplanes. Yeah, they hold roughly, not all of them are the same, but roughly 8 gallons.
8 gallons of that, whatever it is.
Smoke oil. Yeah. Yep. It's kind of like canola oil consistency, but it's clear.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we got the whole row here. Everybody has a shed. Back in the old days when you owned your own airplane, that was Carter Clark's shed that he built. So Carter's airplane, which we affectionately call Candy Cat, because Carter, Charlie, Carter Clark CC, so we call it Candy Cat. Candy Cat's a shady club up the road. But Carter thinks we call it Candy Cat for Carter Clark, but we call it Candy Cat because there's a shady club up there. Anyway, this one's affectionately called the Turtle. And that's because Mike Karugi owned this. And these are all these old guys that have passed on, have gone west, that own these airplanes. And the squadron bought them back after they passed away. So these airplanes are all old. They're all built in the late 30s or 40s. That was called the Turtle because Mike had a grandkid that loved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So he painted this like 4-foot Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle on the side of the airplane. And so the first thing we did when Mike's like, "Hey, I'm selling the airplane back to you guys," is we took the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle off. but we called the turtle in his honor, and there's a little turtle on the side. Yep. And then come down. This is another one of the racers that we just had painted. It was the last German airplane that we had painted.
This one, that's the shiny?
No, the one at the very end.
Okay.
And to paint one of these is about $30,000. You know, we're all donation organizations, so it takes a while. An engine, $70,000. I mean, these are very expensive airplanes.
Yeah.
So this is the turtle. This is Candy Cat. And then the one we just had painted is called 2.5. And that's all we call it, is 2.5. And it's because this was Colonel Sykes' airplane.
Oh.
And so he raced in Reno with this. He won gold in the T-6 class in Reno with this. But this was his favorite airplane. So this was the last one that we had painted and the last one in the fleet.
Pretty. And then what's the one down?
Yeah. That's Race 50. I raced that one in 2016, I think. And now Vitaly, who's a member here, corporate pilot, I think he bought part or half owner in it, I think. But Vitaly races that at Reno.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And that's why it's painted in the race colors.
How much do you think, like, someone who wanted to buy a T6 now, what would you...
$250,000.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can get one that had a run-out motor and need a lot of work for under $200,000.
Yeah. Of course, it's not the initial cost.
That.
I just saw some ad, like, you can buy a plane for the same as you can buy a Toyota Highlander. But it's the maintenance.
Well, right. Yeah.
A $40,000 airplane.
110-gallon tank, 10-gallon oil tank, and gas is anywhere between $6 and $7 a gallon, and it runs about 25 gallons an hour.
How much? Oh, so it's 25 gallons an hour.
Yeah.
That's about what it is.
Yeah.
And, like, what is the top speed of these?
A little over 200 miles an hour. We cruise around 130 knots, 140-ish.
Yeah.
It's fully aerobatic, so I mean you can get. It's a heavy airplane. It's a 5,000-pound airplane.
Yeah.
So going downhill, it's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Going uphill, it's not.
Yeah.
600 horsepower and 5,000 pounds. You know, it's not going to set the world on fire. But when you have the canopy open and you got the stick in your hand and the wind in your hair, it's amazing.
I don't have as much hair as you, though.
Which you can't have. You got enough.
You have the wind on your scalp. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and you can't do that in a P-51.
No.
Or even any of those inline P-40s.
Oh, you mean open up the...
You can, but it's extremely loud and extremely hot.
So both the front and the back passenger can open up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then where are you going to take us on our flight?
Or wherever you want to go.
Today.
You can just go cruise over by Malibu and come back, or
cool.
Whatever you want to do.
Love it.
Okay. So just grab the foot pegs. It's all metal and aluminum. Just grab the foot peg.
Okay.
Like that. And this. There you go.
Pretty updated. I mean, you got yourself a nice new Garmin radio in there.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we did early on, is these all had just junk radios, and we're like, we need to be able to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Especially in formation.
Is this
so they all have new radios.
Is this the actual seat?
Yeah, these are the actual seat, yeah. So it's called a dish pan. So you sit on a parachute, and that's why they're dished out like that, because they're butt chutes.
Yeah.
They're not back chutes, so the parachute goes here, and you sit on that as your seat cushion. You can hop in if you want.
Yes, if you want. Just,
well, I don't have my parachute in there, but...
Hang on to anything, huh?
Yeah. Just careful, because it's probably hot because of the sun, but...
All right. Dang.
This is it.
Fly, I would say, a bigger airplane like the 737. You think that's, getting into something like this, you would feel, oh, this is going to be small.
Right.
To me, this feels intimidating.
Yeah, it is.
Because you're sitting low.
Yeah.
You don't have the greatest of visibility.
No, so when we taxi, we S-turn. Okay. Because you can't see over the nose.
Right.
So you have to S-turn it. Yeah, it is intimidating. It's a very heavy, squirrely airplane.
Put you guys down here, see what this looks like here.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff
is
original.
Here?
This is the elevator trim.
Okay.
That's your rudder trim. This is the fuel pump, the wobble pump. So it's manually, and we have an engine-driven fuel pump as well. Throttle mixture prop. This is the hydraulic hand pump if you lose the engine-driven pump. flaps, landing gear. And this one is called the SNJ. This is a Navy variant of the T6. And this is what's called a tailwheel lock. So there's 3 different ways you can unlock the tailwheel or lock the tailwheel in T6. The SNJ has a slide lock, so when you land on the carrier, you just open the lock up instead of pushing the stick all the way forward. And they did that for carrier operation.
Okay.
Obviously stick, it's got magnetos, starter switch, and then all the gauges are akin to general aviation.
Right.
Rudder pedals have the cool.
What's that? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's my part stamp.
I like.
Better burn one up on the freeway. Might as well get a part stamp.
Gentlemen, how we
Hey,
doing?
how you doing, man?
I saw you guys out here, so I got 2 ahead of you.
Oh, man, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Super cool. And then in the the back, same level of controls and instruments in the back?
Instruments. No, this was a racing airplane, so
Okay.
we cut down the back.
Yeah.
And then in the back, this chair actually swivels. It's called a swivel seat,
Yeah.
and it's a gunner seat. So do you remember the dive bombers with the guy? You see the movie Midway?
Yes.
The guy in the back shooting the guns?
Yep.
So the T6 used to have that. That's where you learn how to train to do it.
I see.
So the seat swivels around so you can learn how to shoot the guns.
Yeah.
And then you went in and did that in the SBD or
Cool.
can't remember what other airplanes had that, but and it also had what's called a gunner's hood.
Yeah.
Hey, bro.
Thanks. Thank you so much for stopping. So there was a gunner's hood in the back. There's also a navigation hood, so you can simulate IFR, and there'd be a big hood that you pull over. And so if you learn how to be a navigator, you would sit back there, and you could basically make yourself INC, and then you learn how to use the instruments.
How much fuel can
110 gallons. Yep, 55 in each lane.
I was kind of bummed that I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
I like to record it, you know?
Yeah.
And then when I saw you guys taking off in formation, I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, I was just thinking, why you guys take off? And then when I saw you guys all circle down that way, that's what it was. And come up here, I was like, oh, this is a flyover. I got my phone and I was ready for it.
That's awesome, man.
Man, appreciate you guys.
Hey, appreciate you. Thank you.
So he was just talking about the C-130. What was that?
Yeah. The 146 airlift wing here, and well, they were at Van Nuys. They're now at Point Mugu. That's where our past president was 41 years in the Air Guard, 30 of which was at the Hollywood Guard.
Okay.
They just celebrated their 100th anniversary, and so they asked us to do a celebratory fun flight with them. So they got authorization, don't know how, but from DC for us to do dissimilar formation with 2 C-130s and us flying off the wing of, they had a photo ship C-130.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because you're flying formation, but they both had the ramp down. And there's all these people in the ramp taking pictures of us. And I tucked it right underneath the ramp of the first one. We did a bunch of flyovers. And of course, they were here at Van Nuys for a long time. So we did a low pass down 16 right. And then we went out to around Point Doom, Malibu.
Yeah.
And they wanted to fly around Point Doom because that's where we had scattered Chris's ashes.
Oh.
Yeah, and so they're like, dude, if we're gonna do this, we gotta go by Chief.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right. So we went by Chief around Point Doom, which is by Malibu for those of you that don't know. And then we went around Point Mugu Naval Air Station, which is right by Oxnard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just 20 miles west of LAX, basically, yeah. And so we did a bunch of passes around Point Mugu, where all the families were, and they're having this big celebration of 100 years of service.
It was
then
amazing.
It was cool. We came in, we did an echelon, and the C-130 was leading, so we did a 5-ship echelon with the C-130 leading. And then we did a break to land, so the C-130 broke to land, and then we just came around and did a couple more passes to the left. That was amazing. That was cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Well, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right.